Tulsi,
Hey,
you're back here again.
back here.
Just on a different podcast. Listen to your episode with Shivani.
And you're speechless. I genuinely don't give a shit because I was so programmed. We're all programmed about the external way we look and how we present ourselves to the world. So fixated on that. And obviously with having visible scars, we can see them. I've got my burn scars. They're on show every day, right? So I don't get to just take them off and go, right, I'll deal with you later.
How have you got yourself into that mindset?
Just by reading books, no joking. Just this car pulls up because there's a set of lights there. There's 4 guys in there. I'd love to call them men, but that'd be insulting real men out there. But imbeciles. And they wound down the window and they shout, "You're so fucking ugly, you should have died." To which point I look around at the bus stop. The lights have turned green and they've moved on and they're laughing at this point. So I thought, I wonder who they're talking to. At no point did it feel like they were talking to me. But I look around and I am the only one at the bus stop.
Do you hold any anger and frustration towards your parents, younger brother, for not being part of your journey later down in life?
So my inner child was angry. It's like, you left me to deal with all of this on my own.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Unfiltered podcast, where we take the eye out of Unfiltered and put the emphasis directly on you. This is the one platform where we get to take down our filters and have raw, authentic and vulnerable conversations in regards to the challenges that we're all facing today. Now, if you're a fan of the unfiltered nature of this podcast and you want more of these conversations that I have on the show to be normalized, why don't you help me help you to get more guests on and to have those difficult conversations in regards to the challenges we're all facing. I have to know what it is that you specifically want us to speak about. So if it isn't too much to ask, why don't you hit that subscribe button right now? And at the end of the episode, if it's been a hit for you, if it's hit home, why don't you leave a thumbs up and leave a cheeky review in regards to what specifically resonates with you. Now, with that all being said and done, let's get straight back into the episode. Tulsi.
Hey.
You're back here again.
Back here.
Just on a different podcast. What seat were you in last time? This one or that
Same.
one?
In the hot seat. I feel like mastermind right now.
Nah, thank you for coming through today. Very much appreciated. I know you're very busy with the things that you're doing. We're going to have a very different conversation today.
I like that.
I listened to your episode with Shivani. Yeah. It puts a lot of things into perspective in regards to just life in general. And I am even more now of an admirer in regards to what you stand for, what you've been able to do, your bravery.
And you're speechless.
I am. I'll tell you why, because the stuff I wrote down here, and I literally was jotting this down last week. It was more of things I took from your website, things I took down from your article with The Guardian, and then listening to the episode with Shivani. It's like, it's one of those things where you hear about stories and then you just never think it will be you. And then being able to connect with someone. We connected through, I think, a podcast I put up.
Yeah.
You resonated with some of the things I said, and in my head it was always like, I want to get you into the on Unfiltered at one point. But I just feel like with what you stand for, it's how have you got yourself to a stage right now where, in all honesty, I feel like you just don't give a shit about a lot of things. You just power through. And I just think that is just so fucking powerful in itself. And I don't get how someone can go through your journey and then still turn up today with a shrug of the shoulders and just kicking ass with whatever life has to throw your way.
Thank you. And it's really weird because I wouldn't have seen it that way. I'm just I'm flustered because obviously I missed the bus and all sorts of going on.
So she's late. She's late, by the way.
Yeah. So I'm more worried about that. And you've picked up on I've just turned up and here I am. Do you know what I mean? So it's all perspective. But I think for me is I genuinely don't give a shit because I was so programmed. We're all programmed about the external way we look and how we present ourselves to the world. So fixated on that. And obviously with having visible scars, we can see them. I've got my burn scars. They're on show every day, right? So I don't get to just take them off and go, right, I'll deal with you later. So everything's always about the external. But now that that's not important to me, I don't really genuinely give a damn what you think about me or not. Whereas even a year ago, that would have mattered. Like even turning up late today would be like, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person. Listen, I'm late. That's it, unapologetically. If I could be here earlier, I would have, right? It's one of those things, whereas before I would have really cared. And don't get me wrong, I value your time, so it's not I'm being disrespectful, but I don't have to justify things anymore. And that's what's helped me come off the rat races. I don't justify why I feel the way I do, what I do. I do everything with a pure heart and intention.
How have you got yourself into that mindset?
Just by reading books. No, joking. Just sat there, just twiddling my thumbs. But no, it's really looking at myself, right? Like if I'm jealous of a woman at the bar, if another man's looking at her, why am I jealous of her? What is it about her that is missing within me? Now we're taught to look at her and go, oh my God, what a bitch. How did she, like it's such a thing.
Did you just say what a bitch?
Yeah, but it's like it's such a that's not. But it would be like, well, how does she get somebody and I don't? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it was constantly, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I'd forget I've got scars, and that shouldn't be a factor, but unfortunately it can be. So anyway, I look at this woman and go, what's missing in me that I find envious about her? She's minding her business, right? She's done nothing to me. Why am I jealous? So I started looking at myself from that kind of lens, and then I started to work on myself. Does it come overnight? Hell no. It's taken a long time to accept my beauty, my version of beautiful, my version of who I am. I'm not your measure. I'm not anyone else's measure. I'm my own. And with that in mind, I don't care if you find me beautiful or not. It's irrelevant. So that's what I mean. So I've been looking at myself through everyone, whoever I meet, even if it's a stranger on the tube, I'll start looking at myself. It's like a mirror all the time. But the thing is, I was doing it day in, day out, to the point it messed up my mental health. Anxiety, depression, lack of self-worth, all building up over time. And coming from a South Asian culture, obviously, we're not taught how to manage our emotions. We're not taught how to manage things. It's a shut up and put up type of attitude. So I shut up and put up, but eventually it manifested into a physical illness for me. My kidneys packed up. So you can imagine that it took its toll on my body. All of this negative mindset, negative comments, people staring, people making me feel like shit, even though I'm trying to get up every day. I'm trying to show up, whatever it looks like. And when my kidneys failed, that's when I went, enough is enough. Life is more about than just my scars. Of course, it doesn't happen just overnight. Then it's going down the journey of self-love. Again, it's that kind of, it's such a throwaway word now, easy throwaway word, right? It's like a trending word, self-love, self-development, all of these things. But what people don't realize, it's a daily commitment. It's not once a week you go on a course and off you go, right? It's a daily commitment. It's like anything you do, you have to commit to it. And I did, but I didn't know by me committing to this every day, I'm going to be sitting here owning myself unapologetically. I didn't realize that. So the whole thing, that where they talk about shop for yourself consistently, you're like, yeah, all right, whatever. If you go to the gym consistently, you eat consistently. You don't see the results there and then. You may see them in 10 years, 15 years, but you do see them. So all those days when I was crying in my pillow, feeling helpless, feeling ugly, rubbish, worthless, all of those kind of words, which I'm sure many of us can relate to. Today I sit here and go, it was all worth it, because even though I didn't know it, every day I showed up for myself, whatever it looked like. And I sit here today and I can say it was all worth it. It took time. And the reason it took me longer is I didn't have the support that a lot of people do have, i.e. their family or their loved ones. I didn't have that. So I've been winging it on my own, trial and erroring on my own, and often literally looking up and going, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? But I guess I'm doing it because I want to be able to give other people that freedom that, you know what, you can be whoever you want to be, but just show up authentically.
I find it very, very admirable. Because like you said, it did hit a nerve. I remember listening to the episode. There was, I don't want to try and repeat some of the stuff that
Sure.
you've already spoken about, but one thing that stood out, I remember I was telling my parents about it and they were like, oh my God, how has she gone through that? I think when you mentioned being at the bus stop, I don't want to paraphrase what these people said out the window exactly, but I'm in my head just thinking, what the fuck goes through someone's mind to be able to say that and then like not think twice in regards to what it's going to do to you?
Yeah.
It baffled me how people operate in that way.
Absolutely. I mean, but you know, that's the thing. People are so brave to say certain things. Like, they'll just say it's, you know, for those who don't know about the incident, you know, I was at a bus stop on my way to the job centre. So, of course, you can imagine rejection upon rejection with jobs and stuff like that. So, of course, I had to sign on and waiting there and just minding my own business. You know, you don't feel great going to sign on anyway. So it's not like I'm going on a jolly. And obviously I'm filled with a lot of insecurities at this point. So this car pulls up because there's a set of lights there. You know, there's 4 guys in there. I'd love to call them men, but, you know, that'd be insulting real men out there. But imbeciles. And they wound down the window and they shout, "You're so fucking ugly, you should have died." To which point I look around at the bus stop. The lights have turned green and they've moved on. And they're laughing at this point. So I thought, well, I wonder who they're talking to. No, at no point did it feel like they were talking to me. But I look around and like I am the only one at the bus stop. So he's like, it's another person who's just confirmed looking this way isn't acceptable. And again, there wasn't anyone around me to show me another direction. So of course, feeling so helpless. And I've heard this kind of comment quite a bit on and off. So it's like just somebody else confirmed what others have been saying. And it's like one foot on the curb and one on the road and the bus is coming and it's like, I can just do it. Because who's gonna miss me? Or like, if I'm that ugly, what's the point?
Yeah.
I see the bus coming and the first thought, it wasn't even about me, was, oh man, if I fucking survive, my grandparents are going to give me a bigger lecture than me dying. So it's like, pulled myself back, got on the bus and just felt really shit. And more than that, I was like, I don't want to let the job centre down. But looking at it now, obviously I didn't want to let myself down. So I turn up shaking and all of that. And what it took was the lady at the job centre who was like, don't even worry about signing on to it, as in showing me you've done your job search. Sit down. She could see something had happened. She just treated me like a human being. She showed me compassion. And you know something? That's what was lacking a lot in my life. People didn't show me compassion. Yet I'm the one who shows up with compassion. Non-judgmental. I was doing that from a young age anyway.
I was going to say this, like when I listened into it, that episode in particular, you mentioned a lot of comments that are thrown your way by family.
Yeah.
And like you repeated it a number of times. I'm just thinking, fuck man. Like sometimes people might say things indirectly and not realize what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you heard it. It was like a tape recorder and like no one really taken on board exactly what you've just gone through.
Yeah, exactly that.
To then come out and say out of nowhere, I don't want to just say it, nasty comments.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I grew up with who's going to marry you because of the way you look. So that's just become my norm. So every time, again, back to that woman in the bar, she's done nothing to me, but I'm hating on her because it's like, when is it going to be my turn?
Yeah.
Because even though men might not be looking at me like that, but that's how I perceive it, that I'm too ugly today or blah, blah. So that's always in the back of my head. So when I'm seeing people settling down and meeting people, or, you know, men and women showing up for each other, the commitment, it's like, is there something wrong with me? Why is it not happening for me?
That's what everyone goes through right now, I think, within our generation.
Right, and it's not even about the physical thing, right? You know,
there's something wrong with my personality. There's something wrong with my profession.
Yep.
So many things that go on.
That's it. But then having these scars and being fed
bullshit.
You're too ugly today.
Bullshit, essentially.
Yeah. It stays.
Yeah.
Especially when externally that's all I hear.
Of course.
So when somebody says you're beautiful, it's like, what do you want? So those words don't resonate at the time.
Deflects off you.
Yeah.
You've subconsciously had it driven in.
That's it.
Out of curiosity, because then I don't really want to call out you, family members or anything on this, but how have you navigated through those relationships moving forward? Are you still...
Oh, like in dating and... in family. Yeah, no, good. Like, I have forgiven everyone.
Yeah.
For their stuff.
Yeah.
I'm moving on. But one thing I will say, and I will say this out loud and is no secret, is I burn bridges. You have no access to me anymore. And that doesn't mean just physically. That means mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
There's no connection.
Yeah.
Right? Credit where credit was due with whatever you thought you did for me. But it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And again, it's back to settling for crumbs.
Yeah.
I'm not here for crumbs. I want the whole bakery, mate. You know, I'm
to eat.
Yeah, ready to eat.
Have you cut ties with certain people, or are you more of a case of they just no longer really hold that weight that they possibly would have held?
Emotionally cut ties.
Fine.
Do I want to sit and have a cup of tea with them? No.
Yeah.
Do I want to go to a family gathering and do idle chit chat? Hell no.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for that shit.
That's respectfully. You said your piece. Cool.
Yep.
Let it go now, but I just don't need to be in that environment with that energy anymore.
And you know the whole thing about surround yourself with those who lift you?
Yeah.
That's what I do every day.
Yeah.
I make a conscious choice. So it's not like, oh, but they're still your auntie and uncle, you should do this. I don't do should.
Yeah.
I don't do have to, and I don't do should.
Yeah. I love that, because, again, within our South Asian community, family and like that tight-knit community is meant to mean so much.
Yeah.
But some people fail to realize that if you have been triggered based on people's passing comments, it can leave a lasting imprint.
Yeah.
So naturally, once you've got yourself to a stage where you may have let it all go, respectfully, the decision I'm going to consciously make now is say thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah.
I just don't need to be in that little... that circle, because respectfully, if you're still the same person, one, I don't want to put myself through that, and two, I'm better than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need to feed myself with that shit.
No. And I'm all here for family. You know, we have obviously, you know, I love the word family, but I get to pick and choose who's in it now, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I'm all for community, because I think community spirit is beautiful. Like, we can do so much together, but for me, it's got to be all with the right intention.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, I used to judge myself on decisions I made. I'm a bad person. I wasn't a bad person. It's just my intentions were pure. And we were never taught that. So like, for example, you know, if you smoke and drink, it was like as if it's such a bad thing, right? And you know, I judged myself so badly on it. Yet, but my thoughts and my intentions were really pure.
Yeah.
So am I really a bad person? So again, we were so judged on so many things we've done.
Yeah.
And this is where I want to come along and go, you're not a bad person.
Yeah.
We made choices in situations that were beyond our control, like drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Like, I've been there. I've used all of that. Food, alcohol, drugs, you name it. Retail therapy. You know, people don't think of that as an addiction, but it is. I've done all of that. But at the end of all of that, there was no answer. I was still feeling shit. But it's when I went down the route of spirituality, and that's not religion, that's spirituality. I sit here today, you would never guess that I'm navigating something really, you know, hard at the moment, which is my health, because I don't give that away. Why? Because mentally I'm in a great place. Emotionally, I'm in a great place.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that energy from you.
You know, but no one would know at the moment I'm going through something physical because it's really tough. Sorry, I'm doing it on my own. But that's because I've worked hard on my mental health. I worked hard on forgiving myself. That's why I say surround yourself with the right people who keep reminding you what a badass you are.
You're a badass.
And anyone, you know, just have that every day. Consciously choose your people every day.
You said something there about forgiving yourself. I think that's one thing a lot of my clients struggle to do.
Yeah.
They just haven't tapped into that subconscious part of their brain where maybe they feel guilty with their younger self for things that they possibly did or didn't do at the time. What were you forgiving yourself for?
I've forgiven myself for putting myself in situations that I didn't need to be in. I've forgiven my 10-year-old, 15-year-old tools, 18-year-old tools by abusing the body, abusing the mind, putting her down, effectively probably not protecting her against all of these things. I suppose I've forgiven myself for that. Forgiven myself for giving other people, like especially family members, a lot of opportunity and chances to better themselves. It's almost like I forgive myself for the abuse I went through. And I will call it abuse. Abuse isn't just physical or sexual, right? And I think that's what I want to highlight is in life, things will happen to you, for you, but there are some things that you don't need to tolerate or accept, right?
Of course.
Like my plane crash was going to happen. That was beyond my control. But those who took care of me after, they could have done better, right? That's where I say by abuse. So that's not something where I, in my spiritual book, going, oh, it's something you needed to go through and learn. And no, let's stop calling that part of life's plan.
Yeah.
That is abuse. I always say, when you're born, regardless of what circumstances you're born into, everyone is entitled to love and everyone is entitled to live a great life. What changes that is all the external people, the abusers and the narcissist and all of those people who haven't done the work on themselves. And that's what I'm trying to say is really strengthen yourself with love. That any of these external things, it's water off a duck's back.
It's true. It is very, very true. It's very powerful as well, the way you said it. I think going back to forgiving yourself, a lot of people I speak to, when they finally let the penny drop, is they acknowledge the fact that they were helpless at one point in time, and it's a case of they've got so much anger towards them not being able to do something at that point in time. I'm just like, yo, you need to stop that shit. All right, X, Y, and Z happened. That younger version of you didn't know what to do, wasn't as equipped as you are right now.
Absolutely.
You can't keep punishing that person because subconsciously you're punishing yourself right now. Yeah.
And it's like, I would say, when you're in survivor mode, you got to make decisions that even you might think, oh my God, what am I doing? But you got to do what you got to do to survive. But when you're now out of that phase and you're in thriver mode, which is hopefully where we're all now, you don't need those tools anymore. So you can go, you know what? Thank you. You taught me what you taught me. I got through the toughest days with whatever decision I made, good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. But now I'm going to let go of those tools and I'm going to move on with new tools or different set of tools.
Yeah.
And that's the bit you're going to forgive.
100%. I want to ask you something a bit more personal, and if it's uncomfortable, by all means, you just let me know. And it's around grieving, because I feel people can't sometimes see things for what eventually happens in life, right? And what I mean by that, and I probably just butchered that completely. What I mean by that is I've come to the understanding that there's no such thing as immortality. Something's going to happen someday. So the way I equip myself for what may or may not happen tomorrow, in a week's time, in a year's time, 10 years' time, whatever, it's just removing the expectation that everything's all happy days. When I talk about expectation, I talk about it from a perspective like with clients who are working on in dating, or talk about relationships. I'm like, yeah, you might get into a relationship, but you've got the expectation in your head right now that a family's just going to happen on the back end of it. What if something's not biologically right with you or your partner? What happens if your partner after 10, 12 years says, you know what, I'm no longer feeling this anymore. I like someone else. My sexuality's changed. What happens then? But the expectations you put in his head is this fairy tale, right? And when it comes to, like, say, mortality, I know for a fact something's going to happen one day or the other. When my granddad passed, it was a difficult time, but respectfully, I don't know how I processed it, but when it came to my grandmother then dying a few years later after that, yes, it's sad, it's emotional, but one thing that I channeled into my head, and I wasn't sure if it was a negative thing or a positive thing at the time, but life goes on. I still have to go to work in a couple of days' time once I've healed to crack on with my 9 to 5. I still have exams to study for. How have you dealt with grieving personally?
Great question. So I didn't at the point of loss. So when I lost my family at the age of 10, because culturally it was like everyone loses a parent, get over it.
Not the way you did.
Yeah, but that's what I grew up with. So it was sort of embedded that, okay, well, you know, it happens, get over it. What's the point of...
But it wasn't necessarily just your parents, it was your younger brother
and my brother as well. Yeah, so it's like my whole entire family. So it's like, just shut up and put up with it. On top of that, you know, I've got my burns, I'm in and out of hospital, my identity's changed, everything's changed. It's almost like I wasn't allowed to mourn. It was almost like I was exempt from a lot of things in life. And then when I'd watch people around me with their parents, it was like, whoa, you still have your parents. Oh my God, wow, okay, what does that feel like? And obviously watching them doing their usual family thing, whatever that looks like, it was like, maybe I'm not entitled to that. So that's what I'm saying, I was exempt from a lot of things. But it was on the 20th anniversary when I went, right, fuck this shit. I'm going to take power back now. I'm going to mourn the way I want to. Because culturally, it's like, how are you going to mark the day? Are you going to go to the temple? Are you going to do this? So people around me were marking it. But I'm like, the date is February 14th. So it's not even something you could forget, right? It's a day of love, let's say. But if I wake up that day and I'm happy, I had to make myself feel sad. But I'm like, this doesn't work. So I went on the 20th anniversary, I went, fuck this shit. I'm going to take it into my own hands now. I did my own little ceremony of letting go because I never got to cremate my family. Obviously, I didn't get to see all that. Saving grace, of course. So me and a good few friends from different faiths, we all did like our version of like a peace mantra type thing. You know, I've got a friend who's Muslim, I had a friend who's Sikh, a friend who's Christian, Hindu, you know, the whole package. And everyone did it from their own context. And I put this biodegradable kind of wicker basket type thing, filled it with roses and fish-friendly type of stuff, fruits and you name it. And I put it all in there, bound 3 roses together. And I did my own send-off at the river. And you know, the level of peace I got from that was like, finally I'm taking control of how I want to mark things. That's when my grieving process started, where I went, wow, all these things that I've gone through, I've done it on my own. That's including navigating my kidney health and that. And this is when I realised I did need my parents. We all need parents for something, like the support, the love, the encouragement, belief, whatever it is. I didn't have any of that.
No.
So I'm winging all of that on my own. That's when it hit me. It was like all those things I denied I needed, I can acknowledge and say I needed that. Now where I am in my grief journey is I love grief. I love it. It's not something we need to work on or go through or heal from. It's something we need to accept.
That's a big
and
word.
it resides next to us. So in one hand you got love and the other hand you got grief, and they come together. Because if you don't have grief, that means that person never existed. So that's what I denied. I denied that my parents and my brother ever existed. Now I acknowledge that. And that's what grief is to me.
Do you hold any, like, it's probably a straight up answer, but do you hold any anger and frustration towards your parents, younger brother, for not being part of your journey later down in life? Because I know from people I've spoken to, they are angry, and they know it's bad to be angry, but it's an emotion that comes up, and when they finally admit it, it's like, okay, cool, we need to make peace with this now and learn to accept it. But respectfully, I generally just wanted to ask you.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because, you know, there's no such thing as good and bad, but we take it upon as it's bad to feel angry.
Yeah.
No, it's you're right. You know, it's, as a child, inner child, you are allowed to be angry. So my inner child was angry. It's like, you left me to deal with all of this on my own. You didn't even equip me. You didn't even equip me with life. Like, when you're in your teenage years, your parents teach you certain things. You know, as we're getting older, you learn more. It's like, what could they have taught me by the age of 10? But I tell you something, every situation I've been in, there are some things I went, I remember when my dad said that to me. I remember when my mum did that. So they did teach me. I didn't know when I was going to need those tools. Was I angry at them? Yes, and it's very recently. You think it's been, 34 years now? And it's only this year, the 34th year, that I finally am angry at my dad. That he never taught me what a bar looked like. So in terms of entertaining relationships and men, anything and everything was okay. And we know that shouldn't be the case. We should all have a bar. I didn't have a bar because I had no worth.
You say a bar, you mean like a boundary?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought sex was love. That's something he would have set. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't have... I had a loving father, so it wasn't like it was a really shit childhood. It was great. So I know he would have set that bar and be like, that man ain't coming into the house. You know, I know he would be like that because he's done that with his younger, you know, brother and sisters and all of that. But I didn't have a bar. No one taught me what worth is. I've worked towards what worth and value looks like. That's why I sit here with what I have now, because I've worked at it. It was not taught. Life taught me, yes, but it wasn't something that was taught at home.
Yeah.
So that's why I was angry at my dad. But in terms of, am I angry at them overall? No. I'm actually grateful.
Yeah. I think everyone is always grateful when it comes to losing someone. Like my example, I'm so grateful to have been a part of my granddad's life and been there for the number of years I was present for. I remember when I got my degree, he said thank you while I was studying for my ACA.
So
thank
sweet.
you. Yeah. But best believe, like, it came about recently as well. I would say in the last year and a bit. But I started realizing, shit, I'm actually very angry because albeit I'm working on my self-worth, I'm not 100%, but I've definitely worked on it from where I was. The mindset I had to not talk about my problems and my challenges came from you, old man. Because you never told anyone what it felt like when you were hurting. You just kept it all quiet and you powered through. You never told anyone you were struggling. It was only till when we found out later on in life that X, Y, and Z had happened. You never wanted to place any burden on anyone. Whether it was not to come across as being weak or anything, you chose consciously not to. And I took that from you. Being your only grandson, I took it from you as something that shit, my granddad's a great guy. He's never complained. Like, I'm going to do the same. Like, that's a life skill. No, it isn't. That's a toxic mentality.
Yeah.
Because for years, I could never ask for help in regards to studying. I can never really talk about relationship challenges, my worth, how I felt in terms of, I played a lot of cricket when I was growing up, asking for assistance versus just coming home to criticism.
Yeah.
It's mad. And it's like, I kept that with me, and I unfortunately show a lot of emotion. So I used to be quite grumpy. It used to come off you as you're a bit of a grumpy. This never was the case. It was just because in my head I just thought, this is the exterior I need to just hold. So I'm obviously, like, I love my granddad, but respectfully, I'm just like, yo, we need to have a chat one day, big time. Because best believe, yo, I know why you did things the way you did, but let me just tell you right now what it did for me.
Yeah,
so that we can just like be cool with it. Because my gran similarly did things in a similar fashion, and it's like, anyway, let's not digress on that. Talk about me. I wanted to ask you a bit more in regards to moving forward. You mentioned like being going to the job centre to what you're able to do now.
Yeah.
And I read things on your website as well. We've got a TED talker.
Yes.
Sitting in the seat over there. Get gassed. I read something about coaching as well.
Yep.
Give me a little backstory around that.
It's really weird because when people say, what is your job? Like, I don't have one. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, I'm not a job title.
Yeah.
I coach to help people, like all coaches, you know, find the best version of you, whatever department you're coaching in.
What is your department though?
To be a visionary, you know, to flip scripts.
Fine.
Confident coaching. I suppose my story covers so many elements of life, you know, but mine isn't sort of fixed. It's not like I'm a confidence coach or I'm a life coach or anything. I'm just here to help prize out of you the limiting beliefs that you might have and to just show you how to show up for yourself authentically. You know, I was a campaigner for change, especially with people with visible differences and disabilities. I don't do that anymore simply because there are way better people doing it and they're great at content creating. I don't want that pressure. I'm not a content creator. I have no intention of sitting there creating content day in, day out. And those who do it, man, hats off to them. Some of them are so good, right?
Yeah, they are good.
Like, how are you even doing this?
It's long.
I respect them. So, but, you know, again, I've come off that sort of hamster wheel. I tell you what I have come off. I've come off the hamster wheel of everything because I don't want to be defined by the external of you are this, you are that. I'm just a walking person who's just going through life, navigating it. And if I can inspire you to be a better person today than you were yesterday, I suppose that's my job. You know, that is literally my job. At the moment, like I said, I'm navigating my health at the moment. So even with work or anything like that, it's just taking a back seat.
I like that.
I am a public speaker, so I'm happy to do online type of stuff, which I do, like some corporate. I'd love to travel, but at the moment I've got travel restrictions because in the next couple of months I'll be starting dialysis. So it's going to take a whole different mindset. It's going to change me in a big way. So I suppose I'm mentally gearing myself up for that. A bit like what you were saying earlier, you know, sort of you prepare yourself for certain eventualities. That's what I do. Just put things in place. It's not about it happening tomorrow or whatever. It's inevitable. I don't like these people like, well, think positive, you never know. That's all well and good. Yeah. But when it happens, what are you going to do then? Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I think it's nice having that positive outlook of what is possible.
Absolutely.
But respectfully, understand the fact that, like you said, you're going to go through this next phase in regards to your health journey.
Yeah.
You're already aware in regards to what's going to be allowed of your body in the next 6 months versus what you possibly could do today.
Absolutely.
And it's putting that into perspective and not looking at that as an obstacle, but okay, cool. This possibly needs to be done now. And I've done the research. I know what the results are going to possibly be like, and I know what limitations I may have. Fine.
Yeah.
But I know what I can still do.
Yeah, that's it.
And if there is a way around it where I can do that stuff, great. I'll give that a go. But I'm going to respect the fact this is what my body's going through right now.
Absolutely. And that's what I do. Because, I mean, I go to the gym still. Not as frequent as I want to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I show up. And just on Friday, I saw my consultant and I said, look, one thing that's really getting me down is not even the symptoms and the side effects, is I can't lift weight like I used to at the gym. I was like, for example, you know, on those, like, let's just call it the pec thing, you know, the chest press and that.
Yeah.
Let's say I was on 22 kg. Now I'm back on 5. And even that's a struggle. So you can imagine for the ego what that feels like, right? But he goes, of course you're going to find that tough. You know, cut down on your protein, restriction on your fluid, you know, all of these factors. So if you go to the gym now, don't have the expectation you're going to build yourself.
Yeah.
Just go because you enjoy movement.
Yeah.
And having that mindset has taken the pressure off of me going, why am I not seeing the results? Am I that rubbish? Am I that weak? Instead of going, I just enjoy being at the gym now. Now, you don't hear a kidney patient going to the gym, especially at this stage, because they're ready to just be in bed all day. They've given up. Or not given up, but it's tough. I know what that feels like, right?
Yeah.
But that's not an option for me right now, because I'm going to shop whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
So back to, you know, what we were saying earlier, I surround myself with all the right people. I have a yoga teacher, I have a Pilates teacher, I have a meditation coach, I have a nutritionist. I have all of the people that I could potentially need to help me feel good every day.
Yeah.
And you obviously had my yoga teacher on your podcast, so have to mention her, Rima, you know, absolute angel. You know, I had a conversation with her about my health, and she goes, would you like to stop your standing order? And I said, no, I want to show up. Whatever the session looks like, we'll wing it. If it means half an hour of just breathing, cool. She goes, I will go with whatever feels right on the day. I have to do that because I still need to show up for my body, whatever it looks like.
Right.
And that's the thing here. That's why I want to flip scripts. I want to be able to say you can do something despite a health limitation.
I think with what you're saying, if I try and translate it, if I try and flip the script on what you're saying, it's finding balance in regards to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to show up?
Yeah.
I presume you still have clients that you work with yourself from a coaching perspective, or you've got talking events, or like there are going to be things you can do with the same energy levels that was applicable.
Yep.
There are things you're going to have to possibly say no to.
Yep.
It's just respecting what you can do in
That's
terms of
it.
going to the gym.
Yep.
I can only move 5 now. I was doing 22 before.
Yep.
My body can do right now. That doesn't mean I'm weak.
Yep.
It just means my body's transitioning right now, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
And it's re-scripting that ego to say, nah, I'm going to turn up, but I know I'm not going to be able to do as much as I like. And it's like when I've gone through injuries, when I was younger and I was training, stupidly, you think you can just power through.
Yeah.
No. I realise now, I'm envious of you being able to cross your legs. I can't. I even told Rima this. I was like, I can't cross my legs. Like, I can get one leg fine, the other leg struggling. And I've been realising recently, doing more and more stretches in the gym, it's getting, I don't know if it's getting worse or not. And I'm not sure if golf is playing an impact in it.
Right.
I've got physio booked in. Now, whatever that's going to cost, it's going to cost. But respectfully, I don't want to be in a position in 20 years' time where I'm unable to do the things that I love doing right now.
Yeah.
That, quit myself early, listen to my body. If that means I can't train certain things, cool. It is finding that harmony. I like that you're doing that.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm doing that a lot more is because, you know, find joy in whatever feels good for you. And I didn't have that before. Rewind back 18 years ago when my kidneys originally failed. I didn't have joy then. I was just living life as just this sort of shot in the dark type of thing, you know, go for it. I was doing my degree at the time. I had a lot of distractions. I didn't have time to focus on myself. Whereas now I fine tune what feels good and doesn't. People want to go, come on, T, let's go out for a drink. Let's go. That doesn't interest me. I haven't got energy to catch up. There's nothing to catch up on. If you want to catch up, read my socials. That's it. You're caught up. I haven't got time for small talk. I've got to heal this body, because when I start dialysis, as I say, I mean, especially in my intimate circle, is I don't know how I'm going to feel when I'm on dialysis, right? 18 years ago to today are two different people. I might feel shit. Or do you know what? I might just be like, hey, let's go raving because I have a good dose of energy. I don't know until it happens. But either way, I've just got to make sure I'm okay right now. So when I get to that point, which is, we're looking about August, September, maybe even October. That's not that far now. That I'll be on this life support machine, so to speak, because that's what it is. And life is going to be different. It's not going to be T, let's catch up. It's going to be T, what can we do for you? And if you can't say that to me, then not in a bad way, just stay out my way. I don't need people to go, let's catch up and forget what I'm actually going through. I'm not going to downplay what I'm going through, but I'm not going to sit here and explain to you what I'm going through as well. Let's have some compassion. She's on a life support machine. What do you think it looks like? You know what I mean? Like, don't make presumptions. Even now, people, just because they see me out and about, you're fixed, you're well. This isn't like having a flu or a cold. You know, this isn't about getting fixed. This is, I'm just making the best of a situation that I can. So people are like, oh my God, but you can travel. You just went to Croatia, but yet you can't get yourself to Wembley to meet me. Dude, do you know how long it took me to get from my home to the airport? Somebody actually had to pick me up physically and take me there. Me getting to Wembley, unless you physically come in to pick me up, I don't know how I'm getting to you. So they don't put that together. They just think about what's convenient for them. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's where compassion is lacking. So I'm not here to justify why I can't get to Wembley anymore. The answer is I don't want to socialise. That's the bottom line.
Fair. I feel like for some people it might come across as like you're just being moody and grumpy, but I feel like it's just you. One, you've been conditioned right now to not just take shit from people, but secondly, it's just a case of, not to be rude, it's just something that I just don't really want to do, to be honest. And like, I'm more than happy to hold space and chat and chill, but at the same time, I'm gonna do it on my terms.
Yeah.
And like, I can compromise to some degree, but until you're in my shoes right now, you won't fully understand it. So respectfully, I'm gonna decline on this.
Not even gonna compromise. Nah.
Fair.
Life is about complimenting, not compromising.
Is it?
Yeah. Because if you respect each other, you'd understand, right? There's not a compromise.
Okay, fair.
You know, like, I came here, there was no compromise.
Yeah.
It was all voluntary. It was all cool. And if I was compromising who I was by being here, I would have been able to tell you.
Yeah.
And so what provisions have you got in place for me?
Yeah.
You know, so everything that I go through is not on compromise.
Yeah.
And even in relationships, the whole thing got a compromise. For me, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I agree. I think now you've said it like that, it makes me think, like, I feel like when I say to people, you should never have to change for anyone.
Exactly.
But you should, if you can see something isn't necessarily working hand in hand and you consciously want to work on it, I do say the word compromise, but I suppose it's you want to grow together.
That's it.
Yeah. And I think you've said it better. You want to complement each other.
Yeah.
Where I'm possibly pissing you off right now, tell me what specifically is doing it so I know what not to, because essentially I don't want to piss you off. I want to make sure this is blossoming the way when it first started. Respectfully, over time, things have got in the way, but yeah, I never want to be, I'm not that guy. So tell me what it is that's really getting to you and let me go away to see how I can reevaluate what I could possibly do. If it's something as simple as shutting up over small things, okay, cool, that's fine. But best believe, if I feel that small thing is really bothering me, I need to find a way of being able to communicate that with you so that it doesn't become an issue like it is currently.
Yep.
But it's me understanding where you're coming from, complimenting that, but at the same time being able to still voice where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
And it's like not just putting you above me right now, but it's being at that same level.
Absolutely.
I like that. Compliment over compromise.
Yeah. No compromising. Sod that. We've done that all our life and it's not worked.
I'm gonna have to start telling all my clients that.
You're welcome.
Tulsi with the gems. Love it. No, that's mad. That's mad. There was one last thing I wanted to ask you a question on, and it was, we spoke about it over the phone, and it's how you have dealt with rejection. Because in this day and age, getting rejected from, I don't think it's to the degree in regards to getting rejected from like a job application or an interview, can hurt you momentarily in the moment, but naturally, if you're not happy at work, you're going to try and look for the next job, right? But when it comes to, let's say, relationships, whether or not it's you're with someone or not with someone, rejection can really bother people. And I feel like you have had your fair share of people rejecting you in a very negative light, not even giving you the time of day or the chance, right? Yet you still find a way of just bringing positive energy.
Well, as I say, like, rejection is redirection. I think we've had that thrown around quite a bit like confetti. But it's at the time, rejection is painful because I guess, we're hurt because of the expectation probably around something, or somebody rejecting you because it's almost like you're saying you're not good enough. So there's a lot of stuff that comes with rejection. But I look back on it and going, thank you, universe, because all of that was redirection to what I'm doing now. So those jobs, imagine if I got an office job, for example, whatever it was, crunching numbers, even though I'm rubbish at maths, I'd probably been like, same shit another day vibe. Whereas today I can sit here and go, I don't even know what my job title is. So what a great redirection.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
I can sit here and do a podcast without worrying about meeting my deadlines and having lunch at 12 o'clock and looking stressed, right? It's redirection. But the other part is emotions. No one can hurt you as much as you can hurt yourself. And I say that emotionally, right? Oh, somebody, dumped me. Oh my God, they've hurt me. No, they're not hurt you. You've hurt yourself. Work on your own emotion. They've hurt you. If they've hurt you physically, yes, I'm not going to take that away. They've abused you physically, sexually, whatever. That is absolute different hurt. But what I'm talking about is the internal emotional hurt. Only you can do that. Only you can hurt yourself. If somebody dumps me today, first thing is, of course, it's going to feel a bit stingy, but it's going to be like, why am I hurt? What's bothered me? What was the attachment? What am I really missing here? Cool. We've drifted, we've moved apart. It just means it wasn't for me. And again, back to that compromise thing is, why do you want to be with somebody if you want to change them? What is the point? Like, somebody educate me out here. Tulsi, you can make it work. He'll change, you change. Fuck that shit. I ain't changing for no one. Fuck that for a laugh, right? This is where the cockney comes in. Yeah, I'm in a bubble bath, mate. But no, that, so again, back to working on ourselves is don't go into something wanting to change somebody else. Go in if you are going to change yourself to be a better person and you bring something better to the relation. If you fancy someone because of external stuff and that, and then you want them to change, what the hell? Yeah. Literally, you're never going to be happy. No. And as we all keep hearing, is happiness is an inside job. If I'm happy and you're happy, brilliant. What we do to each other, if we separate, cool, we're still happy. If today, like I said to you, you wouldn't even guess I'm going for a health thing because I'm happy. But people would expect me to be miserable and down and out. Not yet, mate. I haven't given up just yet. Yeah. And when I do, everyone will know when I've given up. But going back to that is take your own ownership of your feelings, your emotions. Really waterproof who you are. Then you go and find somebody. Don't be stringing somebody along for shits and giggles because you're lonely and fuck each other's life up. What the hell, man? Work on yourself. Waterproof yourself so well. Like now, this is the level of self-worth I didn't have. I'd have entertained any guy because they'd gone past my scars. Today, it's like, what work have you done on you? I'm giving you whole. Are you giving me whole? Because if you're not, don't even come into my arena. I'm not
What if
settling.
they are working on themselves?
And
still?
if they're working on themselves and they show they're working on, absolutely. I'm always for that.
I think that's an interesting one, because it's like, what if they are, but you might not see it as that? Are you then looking
But
at it?
I'd be aware, because you're not chatting shit language. You're using better words. You're showing you're doing better.
They're connecting with you on a different level where you
Absolutely.
can understand it.
Absolutely.
Because everyone's always on their own journey in regards to, if you're working on yourselves, or if you have worked on yourself, great, fantastic. But you could have worked on your stuff and still be a dick.
Oh, totes.
And respectfully, you could be at the very early stages. That doesn't make you a dick because you're at the early stage. It's just a case of, right,
Yeah.
well, whether I want to entertain this or not, whether I want to give you my energy or not, is a separate conversation. But I respect what you're doing. And I love that. I always say when it comes to rejection, that the biggest problem people have is they get attached to that situation. And I say it with jobs, like, if you get rejection from an interview, like, yeah, you might hurt momentarily, but you're going to keep that needle moving and go to the next one, right? But when it comes to, like, say, relationships, whether you're in one or you're dating, where's that same energy? Like, why are you so invested in regards to this person's opinion or how they feel towards you right now?
Yep.
Respectfully, it should be a case of, okay, cool, fine. Well, I guess I'm just not your cup of tea.
Yep.
And you know what? If it was meant to be, we wouldn't be in this scenario. If there's something you want to work towards, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can try and come to an arrangement where we complement one another, not compromise.
I love that.
But at the same time, like, you can't always change to be someone. So respectfully, if they're not happy,
Yep.
you want to be with someone who's just not happy. It doesn't make sense. So, nah, I get it. You drop gems. You do drop gems, Tulsi.
Thank you.
I'm glad we've been able to get Unfiltered and get you on the podcast. It was something I definitely wanted to do a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, me too. No, this has been really good. Thank you.
I'm not sure what's next for you in regards to whether or not you're still going to be coaching or finding space for people. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, look, online, it's not an issue at the moment. Like I said, I'll be starting my dialysis soon. So again, I don't know what it's going to look like once I settle into my treatment.
yeah.
Who knows?
But if people do want to get in touch, where's the best way of them contacting you?
At the moment would be just my Instagram would be easier. Tulsi Divine 108. I'm on LinkedIn, Tulsi Vaggiani, Facebook, website, tulsivaggiani.com.
Plug that all in.
Yeah, so yeah, on various platforms you will find me. But again, I'm just kind of, just reach out. Whatever I can help you with, I will.
No, you generally are a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, thank you.
And I was very touched by your story, and I was scratching my head. I'm thinking, fuck, like that would. I think not necessarily the emotions of losing family, but the case of life moving forward. Like you said, 34 years on. In my head, I don't know how I would have consciously have dealt with getting on a flight again, traveling again.
Yeah.
Looking in the mirror, and like, you generally are a breath of fresh air in regards to literally middle fingers up to what anyone else has to say.
Yeah.
What does Tulsi want to do?
Yeah.
And whether it's something internal within you or something you can package up into a product and sell to people, like, that needs to be out there a little bit more for the world to like get involved in, because it's remarkable. I don't know what more words I can possibly say. Like, don't get me wrong, I was very touched by your story, and you never wish stuff upon that on anyone, and to see how you've got through initial emotions to verbal abuse to still turning up and being able to have your own TED talk, coach people, speak and inspire people, and go through all the health conditions you've gone through and still turn up. Like, testament to you. Big thank you for you coming through today.
Thank you. I'm just looking forward to my private jet so I can travel. That's the goal and vision. That's why I do what I do. No, but yeah, my thing is to just travel and meet people in all corners of the world, and just, yeah, that's my goal and dream. And I just feel a little bit restricted, obviously, because of my health. But as soon as I get my transplant, that would be amazing.
You're gonna find a way for sure.
Yeah.
Big thank you
Thank
for getting
you.
Unfiltered.
Lots of love, everyone.
Lots of love. Let's go.